Did everyone have a chance to read the minutes? I just want to say shout out to Kim on these minutes because I feel like if you weren't here, then you were basically part of the conversation because she did a great job of capturing all the thoughts. Okay, well, hearing no comments on the minutes, I'm going to go ahead and say that we are approving those, and we'll just move right on to the next. Title IX updates. So, first of all, Title IX update number one is Jarrell is back with us, and he does not look too sleep deprived. So we are going to go ahead and welcome him back. The other Title IX update is I wanted to let you know that over this past week, the North Carolina State School Boards Association had its annual law conference, and one of the segments that we listened to was on Title IX. And I'm going to tell you what, that the biggest takeaway that I took from that law conference is that New Hanover County Schools is by far and away a leader in K-12 Title IX compliance, but also just, Title IX activity and good, solid activity, not just checking the box activity. But I did want to let you know just some of my major things that I took from that is that she made a mention that if we are waiting for the Biden administration to overturn or notch back on the regulations that the Trump administration put in, don't hold your breath and just keep on going um, as if, um, as if, well, we have to keep going with the laws as they are written. And then we can just do what is best for all of our school districts. They did remind us that each and every Title IX complaint has to be investigated and thoroughly investigated before any action is taken. That doesn't mean that we can't put a teacher on suspension with pay, but it does mean that we can't discipline students until we've had a chance to do all the thorough investigation. And an unbiased, thorough investigation. So, and she couldn't stress that enough. And then the last thing that she wanted to reiterate to school board members and to others, in the district, that if you hear of an issue, to encourage people to report through the reporting system that we have for our school system, and not to try and do your own investigations or pre-investigations or in the middle investigations. For school board members, that's even more important because we would not be able to hear a hearing, should there be an appeal or that. So it's kind of like it's a fine line, but not really a fine line, is that encourage people to report and be sympathetic, of course, but don't try and do our own investigation. But so I really liked it, and I just wanted to commend this group for its diligent work over the past couple years, and that we are doing a great job, even though sometimes the community and the public don't think that we are. We really are. So I was really kind of happy to hear that. I do see, Leslie, that you said I had someone come to me with an issue with the Ethics 360. If you could just forward that, what you've heard, onto Jarrell, so that we can make sure that the issue is corrected if it's something in our system. Or maybe it's the person's computer. But yeah, anytime you hear of anything, just shoot the stuff to Jarrell. And yeah, so privacy issues, so you still shoot that to Jarrell because that's what his job is. So, and then, so Jarrell, do you have any Title IX updates based on your position as Title IX coordinator?
Hey everyone. So I do have a couple of updates, not really Title IX, but kind of updates. So we have, can everyone hear me okay with my mask on? So Kelly Lewis is the new athletic director for New Hanover County Schools. And so he has joined the Title IX committee through his role as the district's athletic director. And so he is on the meeting today. And so with that, we are beginning this initial stages of having our athletics audited. So I have a meeting this week with a potential third party to audit our Title IX athletic compliance. And then also,
Welcome, Kelly. Yeah, and he's going to be. I don't know if I told him exactly, but he's going to be kind of heading up our subcommittee on athletics. So, welcome, Kelly.
Thank you.
some other updates. We just had a principals meeting last Thursday. At the principals meeting, I was able to do a training under Title IX. Routine training is expected and really needed to make sure that we're staying on compliance and making sure that we're operating the way that we should when it comes to Title IX compliance. We had a really good session for an hour on Title IX at the principals meeting. Thursday, we talked about the definitions of sexual harassment under Title IX, reminded about those, did some tabletop exercises about those definitions and what situations we can and cannot remove students after they've been accused of Title IX incidents. Of course, we talked about reporting and that requirement for all district employees to report Title IX incidents. And then we also talked about what supports we provide to individuals that are impacted by Title IX and how we can make sure that these incidents are not barriers to education. And if they are barriers, how we can knock those barriers down. So those are some quick updates, Title IX wise. In the legal world of Title IX, it's been a little bit quiet. So there's no real legal updates there.
Jarrell, can I jump in for one
Yes.
before you move off that? So our principals, yay, Amy, thanks, smile. You principals that were at that principal meeting, do you have any feedback on the message that was heard? Do you think that that Jarrell presented, what we've been talking about?
No, I mean, I think the length of it was really good, and I think continuously revisiting the tabletop exercises were good because it wasn't necessarily a cut and dry right or wrong answer. So we had some good, discussions, and so as I said, the length and the revisiting is sends the message that it's important and it's not going away. It's good.
Thanks, Amy. And Patrick, are you with us today?
I am.
So any comments from you, because you're one of the people that are going to have to be like directly involved with our survey too.
Yeah. No, the updates were informative. The tabletop exercises were a good part of were a beneficial part of that presentation. Being able to have those direct applications and related to what we have seen in the schools in the past. So I think that those discussions among the principals were beneficial to everyone.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that, because that's, we don't want to do things that aren't helpful, just to check a box. We want to make sure that they're working out. So thanks, Jarrell, for, doing that, and principals for listening.
That's about all that I have for Title IX updates. I'm monitoring the comments as well. But that's all I have. So I'll pass it back to you, Stephanie, to move forward with the agenda.
Okay, yeah. So just before we move on, I saw a message in there from Leslie. You hold on to your thought, because we really need to get through some survey details, and then we'll come back to things that are non-agenda. Is that okay? Okay. All righty. So Jarrell, take it from here. Go ahead.
Thank you. So of course, we're still rolling out the Title IX student survey, which will assess sexual harassment and gender-based harassment in the district. So as of right now, we're still working on a few things, but I believe we'll have it all together. So the survey is going to be released the week of November 15th, which is a Monday. So it will be the 15th through that Friday. And so what will happen is that schools will be able to select the date of how the survey is released and how they want to organize it within their each individual respective school, but it must be done between the week of the 15th and on that Friday. So student support is making sure that principals have that in place to make sure that they have appropriate time for allowing an hour, up to an hour, to allow for students to be able to finish the survey. With that, of course,
so we are not, the committee is not sort of micromanaging that. So we're not certain that we will get every single student. And it's not like testing where we have to go back, and keep on going till we get everybody. So we'll just get as many people as we can. Gather as much data as we can without being, too disruptive to the school day.
Thank you. And so with that, we understand that there is going to be a need to have information shared with people beforehand. So we are also going to have a parent night in the very near future. I'll announce the date once I finalize it. It's going to be virtual. It's going to be like a Q&A, us explaining the purpose of the survey, what we're going to do with the information. And then it will be a Q&A for parents to have any feedback and any questions about that survey. So that's going to be a virtual parent night. Also, we're currently working on a pre-survey video for students to talk about important information, of course, because the survey does deal with some sensitive topics. So that pre-survey video, I'm working with communications and a couple of individuals at different schools to create a video with student support and myself to provide an overview to students that will play immediately before they take the survey when they're sitting down prepared to take it. When it comes to the survey, it is going to be electronic. However, we understand that there could be situations where something goes wrong, and there will be a copy available as a backup, and then we will manually upload those responses into the electronic survey.
And Jarrell, I've been giving some thought to that too. I know that we had talked as our group that we wanted to make sure that students, had complete confidentiality. So if a student does have to take it paper and pencil, we can have an envelope that they can just slide it right in so that we will get it to Jarrell's office, and his assistant, Kim, can enter all that data, for us, or Jarrell can do that so that we're not, breaching anybody's confidentiality. So we'll be prepared with that.
Okay, and so going back, the results of the survey are going to be provided through Mr. Kolar, which is our third party in his company, to the board directly. So the results and that data will be provided back to the board, most likely at a regularly scheduled board meeting. And there will be an opportunity for future work with Chris, depending on that information. And so,
Jarrell, can I jump in? Right, I wanted
yes,
to get Jackie's. She had a question about data analysis. Since we're just, sort of talking about the data results, I thought now might be a good time to at least get that question put on the table.
Yeah, I was just curious, and you started to elaborate on who is going to have access to the data and what kind of opportunities there might be for those of us on the board to suggest analyses. I'm kind of a data geek, and I have a background in statistics and research methods, and so it intrigues me. So I would be very happy to work with the group if we want to start doing a deeper dive. I'm assuming that initially there'll just be some pretty general basic statistics crunched, but then there might be other deeper dive questions we want to dig into. And I'm on record to be interested in helping you do that.
No, and thanks, Jackie. That's appreciated because that's what Jarell and I were just talking about while we were waiting for the meeting. You know, the data we're getting back is going to be raw data. And so we'll just get that and then use our team and Jarell and his I don't want to say Jarell's staff because Jarell's staff is Jarell and Kim and John Henry. But we will have, you know, our student support system people looking at that. But thank you, Jackie, and we will
Okay,
make
great.
a note of that. Leslie, yes, of course, we will make sure that's why I wanted the students to put their stuff, you know, they'll seal their envelope. It's really only going, you know, to one person. And that's only in an emergency because we're not going to have paper and pen be our primary go-to. That's just if we need it. But thank you for that.
And as the last piece about update is the FAQ, the written FAQ. I'm working on that to make sure that it is more student friendly and student focused. So those are the main updates that we're working on currently. So the 15th of November is coming quickly, but I think that we have more than enough time to perform the rest of these tasks. And we're looking forward to the responses so we can continue to take proactive steps to make sure that there's no barriers in our district related to sexual misconduct or gender-based harassment.
Yeah, and I will say that when after the Title IX presentation at the law conference, the people did come up, you know, to me, you know, at the meeting and just wanted to know more about what we were doing and about our survey, you know, so people are interested, and I think a lot of people are. If we're going to get all this press about what happened, the other press that we can get is that we took the bull by the horns and, you know, have done good things to try and make sure that, you know, stuff like this doesn't happen again. And I think a lot of people are taking note of that and are ready to ask us questions on how we got going. But people were very interested to hear, you know, what we found out with our survey results and how actually really not so much what we found out, but how the survey was perceived and received by our students. You know, did they feel like it was a good test, not test, a good initial step on listening to them, you know, and to seeing if we had a more pervasive problem than we thought, or if we were making headway, you know, with them. And all the comments that you guys made, you know, thank you for sending those in. And so we are, you know, trying to assimilate those into the survey. You know, Jarell went through that with Chris, and I forget what the exact wording was, but we did put in the question, I don't understand, or I don't know what that meant, because one of Lisa Brenner's comments was kind of piggybacking off of what a couple of you guys had said too, was that one of the responses we thought we would add is on why I didn't report was because I didn't know this was actually sexual harassment, you know, because until I might have reported it had I known this before. So we wanted to just sort of capture that thought in addition to what you all, provided to us at the last meeting.
Okay, so I will interject really briefly. We have Jenny Dowda and Amanda Piner that will provide us information about our Oz survey data for our middle school, New Hanover County schools that are part of the Oz project.
And just before we do that, Jarell, does anybody have anything that they want to add to our survey before we move on to the next thing, just so we can get that closed up? Stephanie Walker, got your comments? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Thank you. Because I didn't have a chance to check out the new links. Oh, I finally did. I was away all weekend, but I did get a chance. There were only a couple minor things and I just sent them straight to you guys. And it's just little weird things to tweak. I just want to add another thing too. I think that Jarrell didn't mention was I did get a chance to look at the Proctor kind of, I guess, instructions. I thought it was really good. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look at it, but I thought it was really good. That's something he didn't mention just a while ago, but that's something else we're working on. So to your point about talking to people that come up to you, this could really be a good kind of step-by-step that we could help other districts do. And I think it's only positive, going forward when we have a system in place, irrespective of what we get out of the survey. But like the process, we're kind of laying the groundwork, and I think we should be proud about that. So I just want to add that in.
And yeah, thanks. And it is hard groundwork. And Leslie, Jarrell just sent the links to Walker, Craybill, him, Lisa, and Julie Varnum, so that we could go back and relook through all of the changes that we added and all the changes that you all came up with. So and he gave us the option to do it like more than one time, so that we could look at it again and again, like a couple times on a couple different devices. So yeah, you didn't miss anything on that. It was basically just our eyes looking back over your eyes.
Yeah, it was like, whether there were any misspellings or just little tweaks like that. It wasn't anything major that was changed. So yeah, nothing was really missed except that. It was just extra eyes on the wording and some spelling.
And I think the Spanish, we forwarded it off to our communications department to look again at the Spanish to make sure that we really translated what it really says what we want it to say. So yeah, so sorry, Jarrell, I interrupted again, but looking forward to hearing what Janie has to say. That is a great program that we had. So I'm looking forward to hearing the results that she wants to present to us.
Janie or Amanda, will you all need to share your screen?
Yes. Do you mind if I can pull up the slides?
Give me one moment here.
I think I can do it now. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So let me put it in presenter mode. I can't see here. So I think you can move it down. Exactly. I have done Zoom before, guys, I promise. There it goes.
No judgments here because I can't
there it
even
is.
get my head
brain's not working
without Anita.
Okay. Everyone can see it. All right. So just to reiterate who I am, my name's Janie Dowda. I work at Coastal Horizons RCC. I am the Rape Prevention Education Coordinator, which is short for RPE. I have been in this role for about 4 years. And before that, there was other RPE coordinators. We have over the years solely focused on shifting boundaries, just because that is a program that we've introduced for years and that has worked in our 6th grade curriculum. And with that, a few years ago when Title IX committee started, before Title IX committee started, I kind of just did shifting boundaries at whatever school that I had a relationship with the PE coaches. So prior to that, it was just in like Rolling Grice, Myrtle Grove, Trask Middle School, but not in every single middle school. And so when we were invited to the Title IX committee, I basically was just wanting to get a more sustainable program in all 6th grade classrooms. And so me and Jenna from Domestic Violence Shelter kind of worked together to introduce shifting boundaries in all the middle schools. And with that effort, we had to actually get the teachers' help. So we actually trained the teachers in rolling out the curriculum themselves in health and PE. So that was a few years ago, and then COVID hit. And so last year was all virtual. And then this year we have shifting boundaries again, rolling out with the teachers, and a few of the teachers invited us back in to actually present the program ourselves, just so they can kind of get a review. So this year it's kind of mixed on if we're implementing it or if the teachers are, but it's still happening. And so as for shifting boundaries, I presented on it last year via Zoom in the Title IX committee meeting. And it was really just at the end of our program, I presented the information that we got from the student. So this is just me presenting again. This information that I'm presenting on is from last year's school year, which was all virtual for Shifting Boundaries. So it wasn't a great amount of student feedback, but we did get some comments and some results just going forward. I presented this information to the schools that had feedback come in from their individual schools, but I also like to present it to Title IX just because you guys are higher up and you are all of the whole, like the whole school district.
Hey, Janie,
sorry, am I talking too fast?
No, you're doing good. Can the slide that I'm looking at on the screen, I see Shifting Boundaries, Hotspot Mapping big, but over to the right. Could you make that one big?
Yeah, I'm gonna go there really quickly.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. No, you're good. So long story short, that's what Shifting Boundaries is. That's what I'm presenting on. It's a 4-session program. It starts with boundaries, switches over to flirting versus hurting. We talk about the Title IX policy and discrimination policy and how to report. And then the last session, they get to do a map and basically they get to color. So that's what I'm presenting on. Okay, so next slide. So with session 4, the last session of Shifting Boundaries, it's basically every student in the classroom at that time gets a map of their school. For the past few years, we've been doing the generic mapping, which is what you see on the screen. It's just basically general places in a middle school. This year, we actually rolled out a map of what the blueprint of the school looks like. So this year we might get a little bit more data from it for individual schools because it looks more like their school than what this generic one looks like. But as of last year, we just rolled it out with the general questions just because it was virtual. We did roll it out on SurveyMonkey because the kids were at home. So it was more of a question based versus just them getting to color in person. But years past, we literally handed them a paper sheet of what this map looks like, and they got to color their own personal map. It was anonymous. They don't put their names on it. They just put gender if they want to. And then if the school's not listed, then they would write down their school. And for the directions of the map, they basically get to color places where they feel safe, green, places where they kind of feel unsafe, like they might have they're just questionable in those areas. They might slow down in those areas. They color that yellow, and then questions where they do not go to those areas, they stop. They color that red. With this map, it's kind of a mini version of like a community needs assessment. So every school we go into, we get to do like this little community needs assessment for their individual schools. One map might not say a lot, but when you collect them all together, they do kind of show common trends. So that's what Hotspot Mapping is. So last year's school year, this is basically what we collected. The individual maps kind of collect together through the genders. Majority is female, male, but there is also some students who identify as other genders, as in they listed their pronouns, or they typed in their pronouns, or they click non-binary or gender fluid. So this slide is over the females who identified somewhat unsafe and very unsafe, and the more than 30% females said the girls' bathroom, social media, and online. I do think a lot of that is because they were virtual, so they weren't in person. So they didn't color as many places that would be in person. And then just areas of concerns were bathrooms at specific, like individual schools. A lot of them were 6th grade bathrooms. Some schools, they share a bathroom with the older students. So it might be the 8th grade bathrooms because 8th graders are super intimidating. And then just insecurities online with just kind of not knowing those communities online. Common trends are always body shaming, body insecurities, and just general like hearing of past school harassment, making them uncomfortable in the 6th grade. If you have any questions, please interrupt me. Okay, so slide 4, this is the male students. They didn't really give any specifics on bathroom or social media or online, similar to the girls. They mentioned the same like percentages wise. They also said like specifically for like body image and insecurities, that was locker room, cafeteria, and gyms. And then common trends popped up were the bullying, crowded areas in the bus hallways, just stairs, bathroom fights, and lack of supervision. And then for the students who identified other genders, such as the ones listed at the bottom, they were higher. Percentage wise, it was less students that were in this pool. So the percentages did show higher. But their percentages were mostly like bus, cafeteria areas where it's big, crowded areas, but also places like the gym where they have to change clothes or they have to be in the locker rooms. They have to choose wherever they're going. And a lot of that, the one in the quotes is being purposely misgendered is uncomfortable. That was just a quote from one student that stood out. And yeah. And then these are just some examples from all of them are just one quotes from students, but I like to just pick out the ones that kind of stand out at the schools. They're still talking about Mr. Frank, past rumors, and just general, the girls with a larger size may feel unsafe near certain areas populated by judgmental students and even teachers sometimes, which is sad to hear that. But these kids are very honest, and they are telling us the truth and telling us stuff that we need to address. And then as for with the map, we ask questions on the back, and a lot of the questions are just like, why did you color it yellow or red? How do you think students can make areas safer? How can students make areas safer? So this is what they said for how students can make it safer and welcoming. Just report more, know how to report, learn to respect each other, and treat each other as equals. They mentioned poster campaigning, be bystanders. And this is all stuff we talk about the few days prior in shifting boundaries. And then as for teachers, more supervision in the areas that were red, treat all genders equal with the same dress attire, not just comment only to females. That was kind of just a few students mentioned that, so that I put that under there. And then just the areas that were red and yellow, just adding more supervision because that's why they feel uncomfortable there, and just monitoring those areas more. And then that is it for my data. I have it obviously listed up in more detail. If anybody would like that, I have it in a PDF form. But every year we get similar things as in bathrooms and stuff, just from the feedback of the sixth graders. As last year it was virtual, so it wasn't as much feedback, but I think this year we will get even more with the mapping rolling out in person and being the actual blueprints of the schools. I think we might get specific areas that we can focus on, and the students are honest. So once again, like, it's great feedback, and it's my favorite part of the whole curriculum. So.
Janie, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You, I would love to, as would Stephanie Walker, love to see a copy or a PDF of your slides and data. Have you reviewed this data with the middle school principals?
No. So with that, that's more of still a relationship level. Like, I go into who I schedule with and I talk to the teachers. Some of the schools, I know the social workers or guidance counselors, and I talk to them too, but I have yet to really sit down with the principal. At Trask, I did sit down with Rollison years past, but it's just really who I can connect with and set up a meeting. I think with the blueprints being more individually focused each school, I think that could be a good transition to sit and meet with them. But no, not lately.
Okay, well then, you know what? Maybe we can talk offline and we can figure out how to make that happen, because I think the data is powerful.
Yeah.
Especially, we have a lot of new principals, in our schools right now, so
Mm-hmm.
they may not even be aware of what was happening before.
Mm-hmm.
And do you guys do any I know you're focused on 6th grade, and I did want to tell the group I did have the opportunity to sit in on one of those classes one time because I was a substitute in PE, and listen to the presentation. And from my perspective as an outsider looking in, the kids were really into it. They paid attention, to you and to the PE teachers, and really took that mapping, pretty seriously. I mean, I walked around and looked. And they were talking about it with each other, and some kids were very private about it, and some kids were like, "Let's talk about it." So, I thought it was great, and I just was hoping that we had the data go someplace. But my other question was, is there any value in having, like, now that you've done it with 6th graders, to have like the 7th graders do it, or the 8th graders do it who did it like 2 years ago? Because I watched this 2 years ago, just to see if anything has changed in their mind. Or would that not be relevant because they're not as young?
Yeah. So the biggest thing with this hotspot mapping, it is it being like, a community needs assessment. It would be nice to do it with more than just the 6th grade every year, because kids change. They obviously, like in 6th grade, they're terrified of their schools and they are intimidated by the giant 8th graders. So I think it would be fun to roll it out in 7th and maybe 8th. Do a quick review of what it means, because if a kid gets a map in front of them and they're not kind of aware of what the map relates to, they might color it because of COVID reasons. So you would have to kind of explain what the map is for. But even like doing hotspot mapping for teachers and in the schools, like kind of getting answers from everyone just to see if are the teachers and the students saying the same thing? So it's really like, I would love to expand it even out to like 9th grade, high school, like wherever, because it is a great evaluation tool. And it's really just like where I can get it. As of like last year, we just have been doing 6th grade, but I rolled it out with some of the PE coaches if they were interested in doing it in 7th grade as well, since last year was a little weird year. And we did have Myrtle Grove complete a 7th grade recently. So we can provide the crayons and the maps and just see who wants to color. But yeah, I would love to roll it out in more grades than just 6th grade.
Yeah. So, Jen Tucker, are you on with us? I didn't look down through the whole participant list, but I'm thinking if Jen is not on the call, then she would be a good person to chat with about this, because she's the lead, family life and PE, educator.
Yeah.
So, she might be able to facilitate that, for you, but, and even getting a chat with the principals, or assistant or somebody who's responsible for that at this.
And we could always pilot in other like grades this year and just kind of get it rolled out. But it's a great tool to use and it's fun for the kids. So like, as long as we can schedule it, I'm down. But as for like, going along with that presentation, I had Amanda, the last few slides of that presentation was about the poster campaigning that goes along with bringing in the bystander. It is just kind of like a poster campaign for students to follow up with bringing in the bystander. I don't know if we have time, but if Amanda wanted to present on that today, if not, we could do it another time. It just kind of coexists with.
Amanda, if you're ready, we have time. If you, I don't want
to put you
on the spot.
Up to the committee. If you guys would like me to present, I'm happy to. It's just an additional tool for us to use.
I would like to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ahead.
And while she's getting that ready, it's really just so with the Know Your Power, it's we were thinking like we addressed it and like
again. Can you share that again with us?
Can I share it?
Yeah, share your screen with Knowing the Power. That
okay. Yeah, Amanda, you got it.
I just need permission to be able to share it.
Okay. But as for like the Know Your Power, it's kind of feedback from the students in the past years where like they want to interact, they want to like do this work and continue this conversation. So, and bringing in students into the Title IX committee, we think this might be like a good way of bringing in students if they're interested. But Amanda's just has access to it and she has been wanting to talk about it. So I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. So I'll just introduce myself real quick for those that don't know me. My name is Amanda Piner, and I'm the prevention educator over at the Rape Crisis Center. And I act as the lead facilitator for bringing in the bystander. So I'm one of the, myself and Jenna, as well as one of our other advocates, go into the schools, and we're the ones that are presenting, bringing in the bystander to all of the kids. And one of the things that was brought to our attention by Soteria Solutions, who created the program Bringing in the Bystander, as well as just something that we've observed from presenting last year and what we've been able to do so far this semester, is maybe the need to utilize a social marketing campaign such as Know Your Power to kind of just reinforce the messaging that we're already presenting to the students when we do Bringing in the Bystander. And this is something that could help impact not just the 9th graders that we're teaching, but maybe the entire grades. And it's something we could even look into for other grade levels as well. So I just wanted to give a quick overview. It's not very long, so just bear with me and feel free to ask questions as we go. So this is just a quick overview of what the program or what the social marketing campaign is. So it is an image-based social marketing campaign, and it provides realistic scenarios similar to the ones that we are already talking about and Bringing in this bystander, that provide insight on ending sexual and interpersonal violence harassment in our schools. So it is a primary prevention strategy. It talks about protective factors and individual skills that are safe and effective in protecting our community and our school from sexual and interpersonal violence. It has been researched and proven effective as a standalone tool, but they've also used it in conjunction with Bringing in the Bystander and also found it to be really effective as well. They have, what's really cool about the program is that they actually have 22 different images to choose from that depict different forms of interpersonal violence. So we can kind of tailor it to our schools and to our community. They involve active bystander behaviors, which students can use in situations where they see sexual violence or interpersonal violence happening. And then that has some information as well about how it was funded and how it was researched and how the data was collected through the CDC and U.S. Department of Defense. So these are just kind of the effectiveness of it, what it's supposed to do. So it raises awareness for the problems of sexual and interpersonal violence and harassment, which in Bringing the Bystander, those are the two main things that we're talking about. We introduce what those topics are, how to safely intervene when we're seeing them, and how to be positive bystanders to make our schools safer. I'm trying to see. It increases the knowledge on how to safely intervene. So again, we're reinforcing that message. So in Bringing in the Bystander, we talk a lot about how can you safely be a positive bystander, what to do when you see these things happening, who to talk to, who are your safe adults, how can you report these things? And that's what the social marketing campaign does as well. So while we're trying on an individual level and Bringing in the Bystander to increase the instances in which people are willing and likely to stand up as a positive bystander, this social marketing program reinforces that and will hopefully spread it so that it's not just an individual change, but that it's a cultural change in the school as well. So this is how it's implemented. What's great about it too is that Soteria provides us with a very long implementation guide that gives us step-by-step instructions on how to implement this program. We are able to choose from the available images, and we can also customize them. So there's a toolkit that's provided, insight from the researchers, and there's also a timeline, which I'll show you now, on how to implement the program in whatever setting we choose to do so. So this is something that we could work on over, the next semester and potentially roll out next fall, with hopefully student feedback as well and their involvement in doing so. I wanted to show you guys just a couple of the images that, again, are available through the campaign. So they are tailored to just different things. So there's a couple that focus on digital abuse. So that's online safety. We can change the text in each image as we go, and they are also available in English and in Spanish. There are ones that talk about victim blaming and being empathetic, how to be a supportive friend if someone discloses to you that they've been sexually assaulted or have experienced relationship abuse. And they also have some specific to our LGBTQIA+ community as well. So they break down some of the stigma about the LGBT community. It breaks down the stigma around rape culture and relationship violence in that sense as well. So those were just some of the ones that I identified when I overlooked the campaign, how ones that I thought might be beneficial for our students. I wanted to present as well that this would not come at any additional cost to our schools to put in it. We would use some of the funding that's already been allotted to the Bringing the Bystander campaign to roll out this social marketing campaign in conjunction with it. So we would not have to do any additional funding or anything for that. This is the cost of what we would do. So we could do it in a variety of ways: posters, postcards, bookmarks, all kind of things that could be made available to the students. So in summary, just really quick, we can use this in conjunction with the Bringing in the Bystander program. Again, it reinforces that messaging that students are already receiving in the course to serve as a positive bystander. I thought another great addition to this is that we've already been talking about utilizing students on our Title IX committee and how to get them involved and to get their voices heard. And this could potentially be a way to do so, of having a subcommittee of students that were able to assist in the development and the rollout of this campaign to kind of give them this project to make their schools safer. I know we've had several students after we've presented Bringing in the Bystander come up to us and talk about their interest in this material and in this subject. So I think that the interest is there, and we could utilize their participation and their voices to, make this a great program. We had also talked about the Safe Promise clubs at our high schools could be a great place to engage students in this program.
Yeah, I like that idea. I was just going to ask you, have we done this even as a pilot at any of our high schools where this has been, where the Bringing in the Bystander has been rolled out?
I haven't used any of this material in the high schools as of yet, just because I wanted to make sure. One of the things that comes with it is that we can even put like New Hanover County Schools logo on it and really customize it to be a part of our school culture. So I didn't want to do anything like that without the committee or the board's approval. So that's why I wanted to present it and kind of see if it was something we had interest in, and then potentially start working on rolling it out. But I think that this could really be a powerful way to impact our whole schools and not just the students that are receiving the program in the 9th grade.
Yeah, and I made a note of that for something that our students can work on. And I'm really hoping that we can get our athletic, subcommittee and our student subcommittee kind of rolling in the second semester, after we get our survey results back. But I think that this would lend itself well to, especially if we find something in our survey that says, this, that indicates that this would be something, good, appropriate, therapeutic,
Absolutely.
Words.
And I'm happy to help facilitate this as part of the Bringing the Bystander program, and help develop it and roll it out and work with those students to get it into the schools. And we can work with Soteria to also develop some kind of feedback or, data to kind of see how effective this is in our schools. And we're doing that also for the Bringing the Bystander program. So come the end of this year, we'll be able to present some data for that as well.
Yeah, I wanted to add that just because I saw that in the chat as well, that we do evaluation for the Bringing in the Bystander program already. We have some initial data from our last semester, but kind of similar to Janie's results. It's definitely affected from virtual implementation. So we're kind of waiting to see all the data that we get from being back in person this year. But another thing that we do definitely plan on, even just adding a simple question to our current surveys, like, did you see the Know Your Power campaign in your hallways or something like that? That's just a simple way of like asking students if they noticed the campaign materials. That kind of helps evaluate this as well.
And it's really hard, for us to, get accurate data at this point, because last year was just such a very different than usual, school year. And, and once we even got back in even part-time and a little bit this time, it's just everything is different. So it's going to be a little bit more, I think, just looking at making sure we're comparing data to data. But, any data to start with is better than no data at all.
I have a question. Is this something that can be rolled out? I mean, it sounds to me like it'd be great progression after the survey results come out. I mean, what kind of timeline do you think because I know you're talking about materials, like I guess choosing materials and figuring out which schools. And I mean, sounds like a big undertaking, but like, you've got so much to work with.
Yeah, I think their like selected timeline, or what they suggest, is anywhere from like 6 weeks to 2 month or 3 month period. But I'm happy to start working on this and, coordinating with Jarrell or the committee on what images might be most appropriate for our schools, and then ordering the materials. And then it's just a matter of getting them into the schools from there.
So Stephanie, I have a question. Since we already work with, are you with Coastal Horizons?
I'm with Rape Crisis
Okay.
Center at Coastal Horizons.
So we have an MOU with you. So I don't think it's something that the board, it's just something the committee could work on, not necessarily, doesn't need board approval, right? We can just go ahead and just, work as a committee.
Yeah, and I was thinking that we really need to, look more with our student support services people, and Joelle Newman, who is our lead PE teacher. And I think all these programs are presented through our PE and health classes, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So I would think that before we jumped in too much, that we might want to just have like a subcommittee or an offline conversation with Joelle and, Tanya, and Lisa Brenner and those folks, just to see how this fits in, because there are so many, things that are being added, into the curriculums that, I mean, I love the whole idea, but I think we need to make a concentrated or deliberate decisions on how and when to roll it out. So Joelle or Tanya, Jordan, Lisa, jump in if you have any comments about that.
I do have a question about the campaign.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed it, and a lack of sleep with a 6-week-old.
I understand that.
So my question was, what about non-English speakers? Are there materials for non-English speakers?
There are. Yeah, they already have them in Spanish as well as English. I just didn't include them in the slides. I think I said it at the beginning, but there are multi-language.
You did say.
And again, we can change the language used in it. It's completely customizable. So we can add logos, we can change the colors, we can change what's said on the campaigns to really customize it to our schools. And I'm happy to meet with whoever, Joelle or Tanya. I'm happy to have a meeting at another time offline to kind of discuss this a little bit more and see about where we think it might fit in. But I really do think it would be a really great tool to utilize in conjunction, and just wanted that to be on everyone's radar as something potentially to utilize.
I'm glad you brought that up, Attorney Lewis, because I had a meeting earlier today about our programming, specifically bringing in the bystanders, but it would also bringing in the bystanders and with shifting boundaries, with the fact that we had a letter that was sent out, but it wasn't translated. I think that we need to kind of be more intentional about making sure that we get the information out to our Spanish-speaking families and to the students also who would benefit from this campaign, because it's powerful. Know Your Power is powerful, and it's good information for all students but we need to make sure that all students can interpret the information and use it for their best use.
And Jake,
I agree too, Ms.
I
Roy.
don't know if Maria Black had reached out to you, but I gave her your names. She's going to contact you about that. We discussed it last week, actually.
I met with her today.
Great. And I know Janie she put it in the chat as well. They do provide Spanish materials for shifting boundaries, and we can work to convert the bringing the bystander handouts and materials as well into Spanish as well.
I think that Maria both your names, so she's going to be reaching out to you.
Perfect.
This is wonderful, and I think it also plays right into some of the conversations that we're having in our county about that, just violence and relationships and that kind of stuff. So I think this could really play out in a number of different ways. So maybe we can put you guys on the agenda for next month, or if that's too soon, the month after that, so that you guys can, after you've talked and put your heads together, or, just think of, something more, present it back, to the group, and then we can put together an action plan on. But I really like kind of waiting a little bit until we get our students on board, because I think they are going to be way instrumental in this. But we have safe promise clubs and save clubs throughout our school system, middle school and high school. So we do have kids that are ready to receive the information and do something with it. And I think getting back our survey data will probably confirm what we all suspect to be, that kids just want to talk, and they want to talk about it, and they want to be a part of it.
So Stephanie, speaking to your point, I think our next Title IX meeting is November 15th, but that's right when the survey's rolling out. So perhaps December. Are we meeting December? The 20th is the date.
Yeah, you're right. So maybe we don't do it in November. Maybe we talk about it in December. Yeah.
We could definitely have offline meetings. I mean, and then bring the committee into it as well.
Yeah. So. Okay, no, that good point. Thanks for catching that little tidbit. And thanks, Jen Tucker. I see your comments that this is also aligned with topics in family life. So definitely wrap Jen Tucker, Joelle Newman, Tanya Jordan, and you guys all into an offline meeting. That would be great. And then just whenever you're ready, to talk to us, then, but I think December probably would be a better time. You're right. Yeah. After we have some survey data.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. I just wanted it to be on everyone's radar, so something that we could potentially move forward with, and definitely ideally with student involvement. I think this would be a great way to get them involved in what we're doing here, as well as kind of affect change in their school. That's the whole point of bringing in the bystander anyways, is for them to be the ones making the change. So this could be a great way to just reinforce that as well.
Yeah, and you know what? It also lends credence to the fact that they even took the survey, because some kids will say, why do I have to take this survey? And, our answer is, because we want to hear your voice. Mm-hmm. And so we said we wanted to hear their voice, and now we have something for them to do with that voice. Mm-hmm. So yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, that brings us, anything else on the survey, Jarrell? I think we're good with that.
I think we're good with the survey. I know there was a couple of comments previously in the meeting I want to revisit.
Yeah, so we do have some time. So you want to go ahead and take the lead on those comments in the chat?
Yes, I believe one of them was from Ms. Cohen. We tabled the discussion really briefly. So Ms. Cohen, you could type your question in, or you can take the floor for a second.
I appreciate that. I am aware of a family of a non-binary student in our schools, I believe it's a middle school student, who had an issue with bathrooms, and apparently were told that they were required to use the bathroom of the gender that they were assigned at birth. And so I wanted some clarification on what that policy is, and then possibly some follow-up discussion on why we're doing this the way we're doing it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I'll gladly speak to that. So the way, so one, it's not a policy. So without getting too legal, there was a court case, Gavin Grimm versus Gloucester County School Board, that came down in the summer of 2018. In Virginia, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, which in North Carolina follows, well, not follows, we're included in, including New Hanover County. And so in that court case, Gavin Grimm, transgender male, he asked to utilize the restroom matching his gender identity. The court all ultimately agreed that Title IX and the Equal Protection Clause of the United States Constitution allows for transgender persons to utilize restrooms, locker rooms matching their gender identity. In that particular court case, it specifically mentioned that it was not addressing the question of non-binary students. So technically, under the law, for non-binary students, there is not an answer. So we do have to, all of these, we respond on a case-by-case basis. So it's particularly a case-by-case based on for non-binary students because the law does not provide an answer for that. Of course, in New Hanover County Schools District, we want to have inclusive policies to make sure that there are not barriers to education related to gender identity or discrimination. So I'm not sure about this particular issue, but I would gladly be able to speak with that family to figure out what appropriate solutions are in this particular case. But with that, I will say that Friday, I was able to speak with a group of students, mostly New Hanover County School students, but there were students from other counties, Pender County, I think Bladen County as well. Friday afternoon from 6:30 to 8:30, the Wilmington Transgender Support Services group. And in that conversation, I was able to get a lot of positive feedback on what experiences transgender students are going through and how we can best make New Hanover County schools, make them feel welcome, make them feel a part of the school, not outcast or ostracized in any way. So I just want to share that information while we're on the subject as well. So Ms. Cohen, I'm not sure if you want to speak offline about this matter or not, but the way the law works is that if you're transgender, the law is pretty direct. If you're non-binary, there are more questions, more discussion to be had. However, I am not going to necessarily get in the business of putting a label on a student. I'm not going to question because I don't feel that's a role that I'm comfortable with or really want to get into. But they are handled on a case-by-case basis, and there's not necessarily a policy that specifically speaks to restroom locker room for non-binary students.
I appreciate that. So just so I know when people are coming to me, because I'm in a position where that happens, as a general rule, you would say that we are open to the student using the restroom and facilities where they feel most comfortable, but that has to be handled within the school.
Yes. So if that situation were to occur again, I would say have that family or student contact their principal, who would then contact me, or they can contact me directly. What I would do then is have what we call a support plan meeting. I do this frequently, where I step in and have a conversation with the student, assess the comfort level with the family, and then we bring in normally a counselor, principal, a parent, student, and whoever else the family wants to have there at the table. And we really talk about the needs, the accommodations, review the law, and figure out what's best for that particular student. The situation is very fluid. 1 week, this might be the best response. We'll try it, see how that works. And if that doesn't work, we revisit the plan. But all students are able to, of course, utilize the restroom, locker room matching their assigned sex at birth. If any student is uncomfortable for any reason using the restroom, locker room of their sex assigned at birth, we will always provide a neutral restroom for them to use. And then there's more discussions on a case-by-case basis for transgender, non-binary students. In the perfect world, how this would be addressed would be New Hanover County Schools would know beforehand, and we would be able to put in appropriate measures and steps to make sure that a student isn't stopped or anything like that. Individuals that must know or need to know that information would know beforehand. So there's never a situation where students are being called out by administrators that don't know or teachers that don't know a person's gender identity. But it all goes back to the comfort level of the family and how much they want to share with what information and who needs to know that information.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful.
And yeah, just wanted to add, Leslie, thank you for being an advocate for those students and trying to get them to the right resources in the school. Because sometimes it's not easy to get to where you need to be, in there. So thank you.
I agree. When I spoke with that group on Friday evening, the question was asked, how many of you all have had to, refrain from using the restroom because of anxiety or for various reasons? And they all raised their hand. And so that's unfortunate. And so definitely want to have because that's a barrier. You can't come to school, you can't focus, you can't learn if you don't have a place to even use the restroom. So I definitely sympathize and empathize. And if there's any conversation or question that need to be had about particular situations, definitely always reach out to me. We can address it.
Okay, so that brings us to the end. Well, not to the end of our agenda, which we didn't even add in the Janie and Amanda. So thank you for allowing me to make the agenda. Sorry, the agenda change on the fly there. I did want to just because Jackie had asked this to talk about the next survey, but Jackie, I'm going to go ahead, if you don't mind, and kind of put that on hold again. And I hadn't had a chance to talk with Jarrell about your suggestion to have Dorothy Espalage, I think is Espalage, is that you said, to talk to us. So if we can kind of just hold off on that until December too, just to kind of keep our thoughts, wrapped around this one, and then making plans for the next one after we get our results. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted on the radar.
Yep. I have that. I just wanted you to know that I had that still on because I told you we'd talk about it, and I just want to make sure that you know that it's not off the radar.
Thank you.
Okay. So, does anybody else have anything, for the good of the cause? If not, then let me just, if you've got anything, now's your time. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Not forever, but until October, until November. So then I would just like to, give Stephanie Walker the floor to see if she has any closing comments or thoughts about what's going on and our work.
No, thank you very much, Stephanie. I only thing I just wanted to just reiterate out there, the survey's going, it's 4 weeks till the survey rollout. And in the meantime, we're putting together the fact sheets and the videos for the middle and high school students. And Jarrell's also done a good job with the proctor sheet. So I guess if I had a question, and maybe it's too late for questions, let me know when the rollout for the parents is going to be, for the media night or the virtual night. Do we know?
And that's one thing that we don't have set up yet.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm waiting for
Julie and her staff to kind of
work that in.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that it will be. I don't know if next week is going to be enough time, but if it's not next week, it would definitely be the week of November the 1st.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, say with 4 weeks to go, we have time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good reminder. That is note to self on action steps.
Yes. I think, yeah. And I guess the last piece is, we talked about, some good information with Know Your Power. And I think that's going to be a good thing to do, especially after the survey rollout. And I think we have a time between now and December to talk about, getting the students in there and identifying who would want to take lead on, this program going forward probably in the new year. So yeah. I'm excited about that. So thanks for everyone's hard work. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, it's so I think that we're down to item number 6. Actually, next meeting is November the 15th still. The Monday, November the, wait a minute, is that the third one? No, it's not. Isn't it the 22nd?
Yes, it is. November 1st is the first
Oh, that's
Monday,
right,
so the
November
third
1st,
Monday
okay.
would be the 15th.
Yeah. So our next meeting will be November the 15th. And do we really need to meet that day, or do you want to, I mean, is there anything that we really need to discuss? Because the survey is going out. So what does anybody think about that? Do you want to just hold off until December? Because the only thing we'd really have to discuss would be if Amanda, Janie, and that little offline subgroup has anything to report to us. I mean, it'll be a short meeting.
I think it would be a good idea. Me personally, I mean, I can't speak for the whole group. Please, people, pipe up if you have any other suggestions. I mean, even if it's a short meeting, it would be good to have maybe even just give an update on how we're doing with student voice. That's up to you as chair if you want to hold that meeting and if you want to just update the committee.
Would anybody be opposed to doing the 22nd, which is the next Monday, so we could just give a little update on how the survey went? Would that be?
Would we have information?
Okay, and I'm actually presenting Bringing the Bystander on the 15th. So if you want to talk about the offline meeting or anything like that, the 22nd would be better.
I'm not against the 22nd.
I'm sorry. What?
I said I'm not against the 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah, it's free. Mm-hmm.
And so Jarrell, I can't hear you. I can hear you from. Oh, you are. Okay. What is? Okay, yeah, so Jarrell was saying, could we possibly combine the November-December meeting, because the December meeting is really like right there before Christmas, December 20th, and that's kind of pushing for people, who may be trying to wrap up year-end things. So do you want to think about doing it at a different time, or maybe like December 6th, or 13th? I don't know. Do you want to think about it and check your calendars and then send me or Jarrell or Stephanie Walker, maybe just Jarrell. Let's just do it. Yeah. Or to Kim, or maybe we can put out a Google survey or Doodle.
Doodle, yeah, Paul.
Google Doodle.
Well, I have EDI on the 6th. As long as we can do it before the EDI meeting, which is at 5. I'm okay with that.
All right, we'll send out a doodle sheet, and everybody put in there like some times, and then we have a lot of stuff going on, and it would be nice just to, and since this is the time of year where things start to get kind of cramped up, so, and there's a lot of good things that I want to give everybody time to talk about. All right, so how about we'll do that? We'll send out another meeting time, and then we can go from there. Does that sound okay?
So just to recap, we want to combine our November, December together, and so we're just going to try and find a date for that. Okay.
Yeah. Is that okay? Do you think?
Yeah. Okay. I think so.
Okay. All right. We'll do that, and that way everybody can, they can look at their calendars for all their stuff that they've got coming up. So we don't want to mess up anybody else's plans that are already in place, but want to maximize everybody's time.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Well, you guys have a good evening. Go out and get a walk after dinner. It's beautiful weather, and do some self-care so that we can get ourselves through the next couple months before the holidays.
Yes. Yes,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye.